3, 2, 1.
All right, that was an excellent interview with Stennis, and here we are for Dark Souls 2 with the category Ancient Souls, which is going to be run by none other than Stennis. Take it away, my friend.
Thank you, thank you. Hello, chat people. Hey, we will be doing Ancient Souls, and I'll describe more about the run as we go along. But I think without further ado, let's just jump into it. So timer starts in 3, 2, 1, go. All right, so Ancient Souls is not really a leaderboard category, as I mentioned in the video. It is, however, based on a leaderboard category for a current patch, which is called Old Souls. So we always had this idea of doing it on old patch because it would be quite different. Although currently, also current patch has party walking, which made a lot more stuff possible there as well. Party walking in current patch though has a 30-second limit, opposed to old patch, which lasts forever basically. And I'll go more into detail about what that is as we see it the first time here. But yeah, this run heavily is based around hexes as well. So I'll select the starting class here for Sorcerer and also some healing wares to start off with. There are basically two options for classes here at the start, either Sorcerer or Cleric. But Sorcerers is just a little bit better tuned for the levels we want. And also the Soul Arrow is pretty useful for some stuff we'll be doing later. So yeah, the premise around Ancient Souls and Old Souls is that it is any percent, but we also have to kill all the Old Souls. So that is Rotten, Sinner, Freya, and Old Iron King. And they are quite spread out on the map. So it takes a while to get there, but we have some tricks up our sleeves that we'll be getting to very shortly. Mainly parry walking and bind boosting. The first one will be up here in just a few seconds, as soon as I grab the binos here on the ledge. So this is patch 1.02, which has a trick called bino boosting, which is every time I look through the binos, roll and attack at the same time, I can get a speed boost for up to 3 seconds. So that allows me to go very fast. And Elden Ring players just, oh, they are in disdain. Imagine if you could ride this fast on the horse. But no such luck, only Tanimura gives us such glorious gifts. So here we're coming up to the second glitch of the game, which is called parry walking. So first I have to get the enemy into a repose state and hopefully not die as well. So I'll keep my health up a little bit here. So yeah, as the enemy is lying on the ground, I have the option to repose, but if you cancel the repose just early enough, you have probably around the 2-frame window or so, you can get out of the animation, but the enemy still thinks it is reposted. And the game locks your positioning relative to the enemy. So right now what I'm doing is I'm changing my offset from the enemy by doing jumps while I'm stuck under the staircase. That will actually add to my height, and I can run around in the air as you see. So since the enemy is locked on the ground, everything is relative to that height. So until I break the parry walk here, I cannot just fall down and die. That is branch skip, also the first skip used in any percent. And this is a little bit of a scary part, because in the shaded woods there are a lot of thieves, or ghost thieves. And I want to pick up a couple rings, because they make my life a lot easier for the rest of the run. Let's see how lucky I am picking it up. Luckily you get iframes at the end of your animations in this game, not at the start. So since they attacked late enough to not interrupt me, I got through there without dying. Those guys will one-shot you if they backstab. So the first ring I grabbed was the blue clearstone ring. That increases my cast speed. And the second one is the Clornthy ring, which increases my stamina recovery rate. Both very useful for boss fights coming up. So yeah, I'm just gonna grab this bonfire because we'll be going here later once we start fighting bosses. But for now, our primary goal is to get the Ashen Mist Heart. So there's a base requirement for beating the game, which is basically first you have to kill Giant Lord, or first you have to get the Ashen Mist Heart to be able to go into the memory, kill Giant Lord, which then, after you kill Throne Duel, allows Nashandra to spawn, which is the final boss of the game. So what we're doing here is basically we're making our way to Ancient Dragon as fast as we can. And we do not have the soul requirement for getting through the Shrine of Winter or to get the King's Ring, which is the normal way to get into Aldi's Keep. Instead, we are going to use the height here to skip the gate. So parry walking is a bit tricky, takes quite a lot of getting used to, and even if you're experienced like I am, you will not be getting it every time. But hopefully we won't have much worse than that. And I'm doing 11 jumps here. 11. Which is enough height that I can barely clip over the invisible wall here, leading into Aldi's Keep. So basically, when you're parry walked, the game doesn't really know what to do with your position. It kind of splits it up into two different coordinates in the game, as far as we understand it. And the game constantly tries to drag you towards the second coordinate in order to like generate the animations along the way. So a lot of the time you'll see me running into a wall and suddenly I'll just slide over it. That is because I'm being dragged towards the second position, and if I then hit a slope, I'll load in. Why exactly that is, we don't really know, but yeah, it is quite useful for going fast through the game. So how are we doing another parry walk here? This guy does a lot of damage. Do not want to get hit by the shield bash, preferably. But we are good. Took one hit there. 2 hits will kill me, but we don't. Luckily, don't have to go back and do the previous skip again because I haven't grabbed any bonfires. So here, while I'm waiting for the second ogre, I'll just grab a Twilight Herb. Not super important, I usually do not need it, but if I need some extra casts right at the end of the run, it is nice to have that backup. So that gets us past the Guardian Dragon by simply running around. And here is a pretty long elevator, so if there's any donations you want to read out, now's a good time.
All right, in donations we have indeed. Starting off with a $10 donation from Vanity182 with no comment. Thank you so much, Vanity. Appreciate that donation. We also have a $127 donation from Peanut that says, chiming in for the Stennis.
Thank you, Peanut.
We also have a $25 donation from Sir Jon Snow that says, my favorite time of the year. Gotta get my donation in for a fun incentive. Thanks to everyone for putting this great event together. Thank you, Sir Jon Snow. Appreciate that donation. We also have a $25 donation from Dr. Dino that says, Lost Sinner is a great boss. The more we can see of it, the better. Come on, chat. Well, thank you, Dr. Dino. Because of your generous contribution to that, we were able to hit that incentive. So we will indeed see a great Lost Sinner boss fight. Isn't that right,
And a long
Stennis?
one at that. For sure.
Good.
All right, so we are now in the area. I grabbed the last bonfire there because I'll be going here later. Because the lizards in this area actually have some really good resources for weapon upgrades. Unfortunately, I'm very weak right now, so every lizard takes like 4 hits to kill. I'll still try to do this one coming up here though, because it saves me the 30 seconds of running back here. But it is quite risky. I might either die or the last shot will miss the lizards, and unlike the other Souls games, yeah, so there it missed. I'll have to come back here later. So that's a 30-second time loss, unfortunately. But it is what it is, as long as we don't die after the lizard drops its items, because then it's lost forever. But yeah, that's unfortunately something that happens sometimes. Sometimes the angle is not perfect, and you barely clip the ground instead of hitting the lizard. So that lizard has a large shard and a chunk, which are upgrade materials needed for +4 to +6 and +6 onwards. Yeah, in these 30 seconds, we'll get them back. We'll just have an insane Sinner fight with chime punches. So yeah, once I come back here, I'll have much more damage and I can one-shot each of those lizards. So grabbing that one in particular won't be too much of a problem, but there are some others that I kind of have to work around the dragon to get. So here's a little trick you can do, also possible in current patch, although the timing is a bit different. By following the other railing there, most of the time that second guard with the mace will just not quite know how to approach you, so he just leaves. Which is convenient, because he can one-shot me. So here I'm switching to the feather, even though I don't have any souls, so it doesn't really matter, but I'll be using this feather on for the rest of the run, instead of dark signing, and the reason for that is the cast I'll do for damage uses 500 souls every time I cast it. So I need to have some souls around at all times to make sure that I can actually do my full damage. Let me just see that I can transfer. Yes, so I put one soul in the item box there, and that's because I will do something called item duping. And that's something you can only do with certain items in this game, but souls is one of them. Interestingly enough, also I failed one there, that's why I grabbed two. You cannot dupe a stack of more than one soul. So I have to drop one of them into the item box there to save it for later, and then I can dupe one more times later. It's kind of unfortunate. Hopefully I don't break another one, otherwise I'll be in a bit of trouble, but I'll grab the second one as soon as we get to Melentia here, because I wanted to dupe twice on that door. So this is the Forest of Fallen Giants, usually a pretty early area in the game. For some of the early bosses, Last Giant and Pursuer. We'll actually not kill those bosses. It is faster for us to skip them later on. But we also want to grab the bonfire here for a Giant Lord, which is a requirement for finishing the game. So I have one shield already, but this shield here, the buckler, is much more comfortable for parrying, especially some enemies that I don't really know how to deal with, and I probably should not have grabbed this ladder. I'm alive, that was close. I'll rest at the bonfire here just to get rid of any dude following me. And I also need to get my soul back here. So this is also, item duping is also something you can do on Merchant. I failed again, that is very unfortunate. I'll actually have to go and grab a second soul, well, a last soul in the area, which is very slow to get. And I unfortunately do not have enough souls to get my levels. So that is bad. Finger's not quite warm, it seems. We'll try and get this last one. If I fail that as well, there is one final backup, but it might be a bit too slow. So yeah, if there are any more donations, now is a good time as well.
All right, and that being said, every single dollar that you end up sending in as a donation to us here at Speed Souls goes directly to save the children. That is 100% of the donation goes to save the children. And we also have a merch store with some swag. So if you type !merch in the chat, you will get a link to a Stream Elements store with some cool t-shirts and other swag. And all proceeds from purchases at our merch store goes to save the children as well. Because as you can imagine, we're raising money for Save the Children because children are some of the most vulnerable people in society without a voice for themselves. And Save the Children helps give them their voice and speaks for them when they cannot. Your donations go towards the global fight to end suffering of children everywhere through global education, health, and protection programs. So thank you so much, everybody who has donated so far. All of that is going to Save the Children. And Save the Children, we are honored here at Speed Souls to be raising money here for you at Speed Souls 2022.
All right, so I took the opportunity while I'm here again to actually kill that lizard I missed last time. Saves me a tiny bit of time when I come back here later. And I really hope I stop messing up the dupes. So I really need to get my fingers in the gear here. So yeah, it's a pretty fast input you have to do for duping. Which is normally fine under like the normal pressure I'm under, but I guess doing it on a marathon always scary, especially when they are as required as they are in this category. So let's try this again. So that is one dupe out of the one I failed. Do another one here. And again, I can do them while I'm talking to the herald here.
Bearer of the curse, seek misery.
And I'll do another dialogue while I turn around to pick up the last, before the last dupe I'll do here. Okay, and we're good for now. There's still some more I'll need later, but the run is not completely dead. So I'll get 29 int and faith here. We want the stats to be equal, and 30 is basically the soft cap for hexes. The reason I'm not getting 30 exactly is because we also will be grabbing a hood that increases hex damage, increases faith and int by 1 additional point. So we'll get 30-30 that way. So now I'll be doing a skip, quite recent skip actually, which I looked into for Old Souls on Scholar. So basically we had a way already to skip the Rotunda section to get directly into Huntsman's Copse. But it was pretty slow, you had to do it two times. And I remembered we had like a really bad way of doing it before that went straight into the cave. So what I did is, well, I found out the specific height of the cave and a place to run off where you are just barely high enough to not load the caves here, but just barely high enough to touch the floor on the backside here. So by going to the invisible opening of the cave, which should be around here, I've actually not failed it this way before. I was tiny bit too far left, so we'll do it again here. You'll go into the mouth of the cave and load it from the inside. So yeah, that's basically how it looked like, but I'll have to be 20 centimeters further in.
With badness.
And hopefully me going there twice now won't mess with things. I'm actually not entirely sure. Otherwise, we'll just have to kill Dragon Rider. So, getting the parry walk on this guy again. He's quite annoying to parry sometimes. But we should be fine here. He is giving me pretty good attacks, so I'll take it. There we go. So I'm not 100% sure this will work now, but we'll give it a shot. But yeah, classic marathon stuff. It's never happened before. Gotta happen in the marathon. Okay, so far it looks good. Nothing seems loaded that shouldn't be. Oh, this is actually... Okay, so the outside of the cave is now loaded, but I might be able to... I'm not able to do that, so let us do a different strat that I haven't done in a while. Which is Dragon Rider skip.
Still flirting with madness.
So unfortunately that happens because I've already been inside the cave, and there is a way to do it regardless, but I do not remember it, unfortunately. So this version needs you to go a little bit lower here. And then we'll see this this gray box. And there might be one more full jump, actually. Should have loaded some items. Alright, it is not loading the items. So there's a map queue system in this game that we don't quite understand. And unfortunately it seems to affect me now. So we'll just have to kill Dragon Rider instead, losing even more time. So if there's anything you want to plug, some shout outs, now is a good time.
Sure, sounds good, and this just means more awesome speedrun content, so I am more than happy with how this is going. You're doing a great job, Stennis. But that being said, we're very fortunate here at Speed Souls to have a number of partners that are supporting us here during the marathon itself. Starting off with Elgato. Elgato, if you don't know them, they're a leader in audiovisual technology, and we are thrilled to be partnering with them for SCM 2022. And This is the first time that we are being partnered with them for this marathon. So thank you so much, Elgato. And that being said, we are giving away 2 stream decks that have custom SCM faceplates on with them. If you would like to get more details on how to be in the running for that prize, then all you have to do is go to our Twitter at SpeedSouls, and there is a Twitter post there that will give you the information required to be in the running for that. We also do have a number of donations in here. Thank you so much for sending those in. We have $20 from Jeff that says, "Please stop killing the lizards," frowny face.
It must be done.
I'm sorry, Jeff. No guarantees there on that one. We also have... Oh, go on, Stennis.
Been a while since I've done this as well, so I kind of messed this up. See if we can salvage it. He turns backwards now. Should be able to get it. There we go. Bit of an awkward way of doing that, but we got him. So yeah, with that, I can now I'll simply talk to her and have her move to open the gate for us that we need. And that should be all the dialogue. I probably did the last one like 3 times, but it is what it is. And we'll go back to Modula to open the second path here. It is okay though. We can still make the estimate somehow. I've improved my personal best quite a lot since the submission, so we might still be good here. But yeah, now that we've done that, we can open the path normally, which was not the intention, but here we are. And that will let us get towards Husband Cops, where a NPC we need to talk to is for buying, first of all, the chime, and also this spell we'll be using, or the hex rather, for dealing damage throughout the run. And since I'm here, I might as well also pick up the second spell restore item I can get here, just as a safety through the run. So yeah, very unfortunate missing that skip by like a few centimeters, cost us several minutes of time loss, but we should still be able to show off a lot of cool stuff in this run. This I was not thinking about, but also since I killed that boss, that soul was in the 4th slot instead of the 3rd one, which made the dupe a little bit harder, but we still got it. And before I forget here, as I mentioned, this guy gives us a hood that increases our stats slightly. So with that out of the way, we can finally go back to the area, and this is a glitch called attunement glitch, where basically by opening that menu as I'm warping out, which you can only do with a mouse by right-clicking in the right spots to get up a submenu, we can, during the warp, attune something, and if we do it exactly, if we swap a spell exactly at as the loading screen is about to start, we will not swap the spell itself, but we'll swap the amount of casts it has. So right now, oh, this is very unfortunate. Let's see if we can get this off regardless. I really hope that hit the lizard. I didn't actually see. I do want fire breath normally from this dragon. He did a fireball instead, because that makes it much easier to kill these lizards and grab the items. So unfortunately we are only +0 right now, even though we have the stats for casts, so killing these dragons takes way too long. But we got the lizards we wanted, so now we have enough resources to get not +10 unfortunately, but we can get +8 for the chime. So with that, we are going back again to get the chime to +8. So I opened the blacksmith here earlier. I did that specifically because he does not instantly become available. I am actually also going to get rid of this. Yeah, we can buy stuff first. I've already done an extra dupe, so we should be fine. So through the large shards here, chunks, there we go. And I'll actually just drop this I cannot drop it. I'll use it, I guess. Could discard it, but it would be nice to have that backup there. And here again, we can do another merchant dupe while I buy the cat ring, which reduces fall damage in this game. Technically I only need a few skulls, but it's nice to have some extra. And now we're gonna head towards the Rotten. So here we take quite a lot of fall damage on the way down, which is why we need that cat ring. And we hit this little beam to reduce the fall damage, because otherwise I do not currently have enough health to make that drop. And with this we're gonna head towards the Rotten. And I also forgot to put on this hood, which will increase my stats by 1. It also gives, I think, like 1 or 2 more casts. But it's not super crucial for this segment. So one thing to mention as well is in old patch, well, one thing the community decided on because of, well, very strange programming by From Software, is that we allowed a mod to fix some inconsistency in the game for jumps. It is hardware dependent, so it's for more fair competition as well, but this mod does not work on old patch, so there is a risk of getting what's called a baby jump anywhere, which is basically a jump that is much shorter than it's supposed to be, which could lead to you dying on jumps where you need full distance. So this is one spot I'll usually grab the bonfire, because dying here is a long run back. Does not work on old patch yet. Yes, Sudo might be the one to fix that. Let's all pray for Sudo's return to programming excellence. So here I'll grab the other spell I'll be using in the run, Scraps of Life. It is a really good spell for damage, but has really slow cast time and is also kind of inconsistent. You only really want to use it on some large bosses. So here is our first old one, Rotten. And we'll try to hit his right hand first of all. With 3 or 4 shots, I should be able to cut his right hand. There we go. Which makes the fight a lot easier, because now basically all I have to care about is his left hand attacks, which are much rarer. And his other attacks might hit me, but they have pretty short range. And his explosion, which I had to dodge there because I was too close. It's not an attack he does often, but we can deal with that. And the Rotten is dead. So even though we're not plus 10, Great Resonant Soul is still really good damage on this patch. And we're not using the best chime either, but it's also, yeah, pretty good chime. So with that, I'm also gonna head back once more, because I need some final endurance as well as vigor for the rest of the run. So I don't have as many souls as I would normally have here, so instead I'm gonna pop the soul of the Rotten. And get myself 10 endurance, which allows me to do 1 more cast, as well as 20 vigor. The exact amount of vigor is not super precise. This is a little bit more than I technically need, but there are some big drops coming up that takes a good chunk of my health. So now I'm heading towards Najka. Oops, I also forgot one little thing. I do want to have Scraps of Life attuned for the segment here, so I can skip the bonfire after Najka. Because that is very useful in the Freya fight. Sorry, I have a bit of cough. So yeah, the Najka fight is not amazing with hexes. You can't really make use of the normal strats, which are staying pretty close to her body and baiting out certain attacks. For one reason is that hexes kind of have a chance to fizzle out when you are really close to the boss. So instead, I'll go behind the boss as she burrows and try to get a few tail hits in as she spawns. Each tail can be cut individually. I missed the second one there, it's quite thin. And if you hit them twice with this damage, it is enough to stagger her. I have to wait for her homing soul arrows to disappear. This is Soul Spear. And should be 2 more casts to... No, 3 more casts to kill. There we go. So yeah, that is Nachka. One thing that's a little bit worse with this than in the longer categories like reverse boss order and all bosses no DLC is that that little bit of damage we're lacking is actually enough that we can't cut the tails in 1 hit. So you have to position yourself much better and deal with more attacks from her. So yeah, now here also shortly is another skip coming up. We have a bit of a running segment, so if there's anything more to plug, feel free.
Oh yeah, of course. And that being said, we are raising money here for Save the Children. So every single dollar you end up donating in will go directly to Save the Children. And it doesn't matter if like how much you actually end up sending in. Every single dollar that we raise helps somebody in need, right? So if you send in a $5 donation, that can provide treatment for a child with pneumonia. If you send in $5, that could also provide education supplies for one child, giving him, her the tools they need to continue their education. And even as little as $2 can feed a malnourished child for a day. So every single dollar, no matter how small the donation is going to a great cause and is helping out.
Thank
And
you.
that being said, oh yeah, go on, Stennis.
No, go ahead. We have time.
Okay, we do have a bunch of donations here as well to read. We have a $25 donation from a regular guy that says, "Thanks for all the time put in by all the runners, hosts, and organizers behind the scenes to make this marathon as entertaining as it is and has been so far. And of course, for raising awareness for such a wonderful cause too. Thank you so much, a regular guy. I appreciate you."
Alright, so for that skip I just did, you probably noticed that before going out for the big drop, I actually did 2 jumps to reach the floor below first. The reason for that is that Dark Souls 2 actually doesn't calculate your damage based on the full damage based on something like fall speed, which would make sense, but instead it calculates it as the difference between the height of where you were previously and the height of where you landed. So if I do a little ledge in between, I can actually reduce the fall damage. But here, I really want to use scraps at the start here, because there are a lot of spiders in the Freya fight. And it should usually kill all but the spider on my right side. Sometimes one survives, but we are good here. And unfortunately her leg is blocking the head. But yeah, we'll be focusing all our damage on her heads here. Unfortunately, she's not giving me the attack I really want, which is a laser. There we go. And I want to do a certain amount of hits on each head, just barely not enough to cut them. Because when I cut them, she might go on a rampage, basically. And I will not be able to hit her head while she's doing that. So that is Freya. This one, unlike the other old ones, actually doesn't drop the soul we need by itself. Instead, it drops on the ground here, and we have to pick it up. So now we have 2 of the 4 old souls. Right, next fight coming up here is back to Giant Lord. The reason we're doing him now is that we want to head on towards Sinner. So yes, the incentive is coming up very shortly, where I have to kill Sinner with only Chime Punches. That is going to be interesting. Hopefully I can get it through. But for Giant Lord, we can also use the boss arena afterwards to... Oh, I did not get a backstep there. That's fine. We have a bonfire right next to it. We can use the boss arena to do a skip, which is another skip I found. So that is primarily used for reverse boss order to skip the Pursuer. And basically how this game works in terms of skips is that every map is connected to like 1 or 2 other maps. And you cannot get into the memories without using these 3s, but you can get between each of the memories by skipping between them. So as soon as I'm in one memory and I find a good way to do the skip, then we can just go between them without having to find the other entry points. So here is Giant Lord, a huge boss that is well known for his strange camera. I had to avoid one enemy there because that swipe can't hit me. I'll stop a little bit in front of him here. Hopefully I can get the boulder damage. I did not. But we do a fair bit of damage on him. I did 1 scraps here to get some damage at the start. And should be able to kill him with 2 more casts here. There we go. So once we have done that, we can actually go back into the fight. Because what I need here is for one of the soldiers at the start to still be alive. And there's some RNG involved with this, because the sorry, the giants can sometimes kill them basically instantly. So we'll go up here, wait for a fireball, and then enter and hope he does not do that, which haven't happened to me in a few months actually, but he just killed all of them, so we'll do it again. And this is the reason why I grabbed this bonfire as well. You can exit from the back of the arena and go back in, which is about as fast as going through the bonfire, but at least the bonfire gives me the option of doing multiple tries. And even doing this like 2 or 3 times is faster than it would be to kill the bosses. Or doing other skips even. Okay, this should be fine unless my lock-on does not want to cooperate. Okay. And I'll kill one of these guys to get the other on his own. I did not see his health, so luckily we got the parry walk first try. If I would have riposted him, he would have died. So yeah, this skip involves going out of the arena on this side here. The memory you want to get to is quite low on the outside here. But luckily there is a bridge on the way that we can use to get a little bit of fall damage on the way, but not nearly as much as we would have gotten if we were to go all the way down here in one fell swoop. So there we took some damage. I can do one more here since I didn't load in. This is a roof right here, and then I'm at the exit behind Pursuer instead. So this allows me to go to Bastille without actually fighting Last Giant to get the key and then fighting Pursuer. So now we are in Bastille, and we will do another skip here. Skips up the wazoo in this run, all over the place. This is also one used in all bosses, and for a reverse boss order, which involves Lucatiel. The Lucatiel is conveniently standing right here, and if we punch her a few times, she will become aggressive, and we can parry her. She unfortunately does a lot of damage though, so if you don't get the parry walk on the first try, which I luckily did, you can get in a pretty shaky situation. So now we're heading towards Sinner. There's a pretty long elevator here, so if there's anything else to, any donations or anything, now's a good time.
Yeah, sure, sounds great. So here we're raising money for Save the Children, and they do a lot of work around the world. Considering that there are 168 million children worldwide that are involved in child labor. That's more than all the children in Europe combined. Child labor deprives children the right to normal physical and mental development, and often interferes with children's education. Just $50 can pay for the attendance of an entire village school in a country like Uganda, including the cost of teacher training, salary, supplies, and curriculum. Educating children gives the next generation the tools to fight poverty and prevent disease. So thank you so much, Save the Children, for all the work you do around the world. We are honored here at Speed Souls to be raising money for you.
All right, so now we come to the donation incentive part, which can be pretty scary. Unfortunately, this boss has some really weird hitboxes, and fighting her close is not something I think most people are fond of. Even though this room is very dark, so lock-on actually breaks when she goes too far away. But certain attacks here I can strafe, and others I'll have to dodge very late. Most of the time I can only get one in. This here I'll dodge late. This sometimes she will actually dodge away. But if I stay close to her body, there I dodged too late. Did not mean to use Estus, but what I have to do is basically stick close to her body every time I want to heal and just hope she does not attack me. That one almost hit me as well. It has a very late hitbox on the backswing. Yeah, and that one has a very wide hitbox. I tried to strafe around it, but I messed it up. So yeah, I'll keep trading 1 or 2 hits on every attack she does. This is very scary now, because now I have to dodge the next one or get lucky here. Let's not be as aggressive on that attack. There's one here. That attack is very fast. Usually get hit by that. And on attacks when she swings twice, I can often get in 2 hits. On others like this one, I can maybe get 1. If I'm lucky, which I'm not. Let's try again. Let's try again. Here, should be able to get 2. And now she's blocking, unfortunately. That almost hit me. Okay, she luckily dodged in the right direction there, so I could get in 1 more. And yes, worth mentioning as well, I have very low ADP stats, so my dodges are pretty bad in this game. This game, unlike the other ones, doesn't give you like the full amount of iframes right at the start of the game. Instead, you have to spec for it with levels, which we can't really afford with how we're doing it. It will cost too much time. That is Sinner with Giant Punches. We got through it, didn't get hit too many times. But yeah, that is Sinner. So I very well could have died there after she hit me twice. Luckily, she did the jump attack, which gave me some time to heal. So now we're heading into, I would say, the next scariest part soon. But first, we will be doing another skip that used to only be for a reverse boss order, which was discovered by me and Noobist, which we called the easy skip. And the reasoning for calling it the easy skip is partly because we're really bad at coming up with names, but the other part is that it was literally the first thing we tried when we discovered ladder warping in this game. And it worked the first time we attempted this skip. And ladder warping is basically, if you remember the thing I talked about by the game having basically 2 coordinate systems of your position. This allows you to, when you grab a ladder, you'll just warp to the spot where your other coordinate is at. So there, since I ran into the wall for a little bit and then grabbed the ladder, suddenly I'm outside the wall. And this I can use to get out of bounds, follow around the outer edge of this entire area, and just skip the bridge behind Skeleton Lords. And the kind of fun thing about this literally working as soon as we're trying is that this whole thing is blind. We don't know where the cave is, but we just happened to find a place to stand, do a random lineup, and we just ended up in the cave. So what I'm doing here is I'm just standing next to this fire, I'm lining up my 3rd item under my stamina bar with that fire there, and then just running straight. And if my height is correct, which it should be, I should just end up inside the cave here. And we skipped the entire area. So with that, we are now in House Valley and heading into the Covetous Demon boss fight, or Jabbass, like I like to call him, for soon obvious reasons. This fight is actually kind of funny. Normally we have enough damage to just kill him before he approaches us in other categories, but we can exploit a weird AI behavior on him to hopefully not even get attacked here as well. So if you stand next to him on the right side here, just far enough, he should start turning around. And he'll not do this infinitely, but he can do this for a long time. And basically with a few casts, just tunneling around, he will die. And I'm gonna grab a bonfire, which I definitely need, because this is probably the scariest boss fight in the run. I was contemplating doing this with Giant Punch as well, but it is basically not viable whatsoever the way we fight her, which is by not flushing the poison. So she would basically out-heal my Giant Punches if I tried to do it on this fight. Yeah, it was a very close fight. It almost got to me. You saw, if he didn't attack, I would have had to dodge, and that would have been scary. So lucky there that he didn't. But Mytha is probably not going to be as nice to us. And I just remembered I did not put on my old Radiant, so I'll have to resort to normal ones. So I'll pop one here, and that is just to basically keep the poison in check. And I'll do 2 attacks here. It was just a bit risky, but and here as well. Basically, I can tank 1 hit because I'll kill her right after. So tactical scary fights, I should say. Although I could have died if she did something very bad. But we got through. Luckily, not much going wrong after the horrible start we had. So we are very close to making this announcement. There is actually a very fun strat you can do for Mytha on all bosses no DLC, where you have a bit more damage. There you can run straight up to her on the Soul Spear start and put down a scrap of life right next to her. And if you're really, really lucky, meaning she doesn't jump out, you can get a tail cut and stun her for most of the fight. But way too scary with the damage we have here, unfortunately. So here I'll grab a bonfire as well, because we'll be doing another skip. And this guy is... the guy we have to parry here is kind of random. You basically just have to guess which attack he does, and I usually opt for guessing that is the fast one. That was the slow attack. That is the fast one. And hope that you get that attack and manage to get the parry walk after. That was the fast attack before I was ready. That was the fast attack before I was ready. I got a sword roll there, but that's fine. We have the bonfire. So yeah, you have to guess his attack. He usually does one of those 2. I don't think he has any other attack from up front. But yeah, have to get that, get the parry walk, and then move on. Luckily, because the wall there on the left doesn't allow the second guy to see you, because there are 2 of them, we can get just one of them at a time. Let's try this again. Again, guessing for the fast attack. He gave it to me this time. Fortunately, I failed the parry walk again. So this guy is a bit extra awkward to parry walk as well, I would say, because this is not flat ground. There we go. And that makes the timing slightly different, in my experience. Not by very much, but a little bit harder to do consistently. So, doing that, be careful here. I want to not land on the wrong side of the fog gate. We can just skip through the area, jump down in front of Old Iron King's fog gate, and we are inside the fight. So I'll wait a little bit for him to approach here, because the hex damage also decreases with distance. So I want to have him close enough that I can do all these attacks before he does something. And then I'll head a bit back here. And I should be able to kill him here. Just went a bit in there, so I wouldn't... Okay, I don't know what he's doing. I went a bit in there because I tried to trade the hit there, but I didn't want to fall into the lava, which is the bad thing with that fire breath. But that's Old Iron King. With that, all the old souls are dead, and we can head on to finishing the game, doing Throne Duo, and finally Nashandra. Before that though, I want to increase the casts on my scraps as well, just in case. So I'm using the Dark Orb I picked up earlier for getting 21 casts of Scraps of Life instead of 5. Ooh, so did not get that first try. Unfortunately, 2 dudes arrive here to mess up your day. So instead I'll try to use this guy before they arrive behind me again. Fail that one. So while you are reposting, funnily the side effect is that all damage is reduced. I'll just... Actually, I do not want to kill them here because... I mean, we can kill most of them Scrap of Life if I can make sure not all of them enter. There we go. Oh, they didn't even die. This is unfortunate. So many parries. Okay, let's go back to the bonfire or die. That works as well. Do this over again. So yeah, I didn't want to use my cast there because I actually need pretty much all the casts for the end fights. But if this happens again, I'll use them and just do a spell restore. This is a heavy run killer, especially for any percent, this part, because if you fail this parry walk once, you can lose up to 20 seconds, which is a dead run. There we go. Of course, the first try on the second time we're here. And with that, we can scale this wall and head around. Even though we could have just gone through Shrine of Winter, this is faster if you get it the first time. And it's basically a skip that's always worth doing, regardless of the category. So here, I'll bait an enemy on the way as well, because we want to get him a little bit higher from doing the final skip of this run, which should get us to Throne of Want without having to go through a Dragon Lake Castle. So waiting for this guy to approach here. I'll do another parry. There we go, first try. And there are a ton of kill boxes in this area, so I'm purposefully staying quite far to the right side. And I'll only enter at like the very end of this mountain wall here to avoid those kill boxes. As I've done that, we can start heading towards the light of the torches here, because I'm barely high enough to hit the top of the torch and load in right on the pathway. Very convenient. The old way we used to do this required you to do a jump at a very specific place, which was very prone to killing the run. Old school, old patch runners can probably relate. So here I do still have an effigy, so I'll choose to just get my health up before this fight, because sometimes I might have to trade with either Throne Watcher or Throne Defender. So what I'll try to do here is I'll try to hit Watcher first, hopefully not get body blocked by Defender. It did. So now I'll have to play a little bit more safe. He body blocked again. I'll need 2 more shots, which I should be able to get here with a trade. And now is the potential problem, which is Defender might start blocking as well. He actually did not. That was pretty good. In some cases, I might also be able to get a scrap of life of him. But here, I'm gonna try to do something called Lash Glitch, which can freeze Nashandra. I do not have the right equip load though, so it's very unlikely that will happen. So yeah, did not work. The setup is very specific to any percent, where you have just about 40% equip load. Right now, way less, so my roll is longer and also faster. But what would happen is that basically Nashandra would be unable to move. But as you can tell, this fight is usually not that big of an issue with ranged in general, because if you stay at the perfect distance, she'll mostly just do laser attacks, which you can just walk around, keep casting. I'll see if we can get it another time here. Doesn't do that, but we should be able to dodge this last laser, kill her, and that is the last boss. And here's a little trick you can do, which is not faster RTA, but since we time by RTA no load, you actually save 2 seconds by just warping back into the boss arena, because we are stuck here, and running into the boss trigger, which is time. So, unfortunately, a few minutes overestimate there. A couple of those are from the Sinner fight though, so luckily not too bad. But I hope you enjoyed the run. I definitely had a lot of fun making this route, trying out, testing out for different skips we can do, etc. That are different from the other categories. A lot of fun to do. And yeah, I hope you guys enjoy the rest of SCM. I'll definitely be here watching and also helping out with the stream. And thank you guys for all the donations as well. Really appreciate it. And for reaching the donation incentive.
Yeah, it's incredible. Great job, Stennis, with that run of Dark Souls 2. That was really fascinating. And that being said, we're going to be taking a short break. And then when we come back, we are going to be seeing an incredible run by Katarev doing Tomb Raider 2013 any percent. Stay tuned, folks, and we'll see you in a few minutes.